Okay, now there's been a big debate over the months, years on who would win between these two, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. And it's even more so now that AJ has lost to Alexander Usyk at the weekend. Like, if anyone's watching that fight, it was clear to see who was the better boxer, who's the better all-around boxer. I knew that before the fight happened, that Usyk is a better boxer, he's southpaw, he's awkward, and I was favouring him to win. Not because I necessarily wanted him to win. I just thought, I think it might be a bit tricky for AJ. And it was proven right when I was watching it. I mean, they're my two favourite boxers anyway. So I'm happy for the winner, sad for the loser. Well, now that AJ's gone on the other side with the COVID shit, I'm kind of not really bothered that he lost, because he's just promoting bullshit. So I'm still a fan of AJ, but I'm not a fan of his views, right? But going back to these two, like, for example, I've never said at one point ever that AJ will 100% beat Tyson Fury. Never said that. I said I favour him. And if you've been a Fury fan for years, I'm not talking about last 3 years like a fanboy, right? Because only the fanboys know Fury from 3 years ago. Well, not before that. The true Fury fans, there's obviously going to be some bias there. It's only normal, isn't it? It's only normal that you think Fury will win. But me, it's not just bias, right? I actually do favour AJ to beat Fury because I just believe he'll knock him out. It's not crying to think that, is it? I mean, the Fury fanboys have cried themselves to sleep when they hear me say that. But it's my opinion. You know, everyone's entitled to it, right? If you think AJ would have no chance with Fury, fair enough. But what I don't get is when the fanboys, the Fury nutsack swingers, on his genitals saying he's definitely going to win because he's just Tyson Fury. That don't make sense. What are you basing it on? What are you basing it on? Sefer Severi, Francesco Pianetta, Otto Wallin, Tom Schwartz, One Trick Pony Wilder? Yeah, he beat Klitschko fair and square, but it wasn't really the most. He didn't really batter Klitschko, did he? You know what I mean? And he didn't honour the rematch, because everyone knows rematches. Most of the time, the boxers turn up better. Yeah. It happened with Fury himself when he fought John McDermott. Now, Fury fanboys won't know who John McDermott is. Yeah. John McDermott is a boxer who's long since retired, who Fury fought back in 2010 and 11 for the British title. The first fight was, anyone that watched it could see that John McDermott won. Not clearly, but he won. But it was given to Fury for whatever reason. No, this happens in boxing, right? Second fight, Fury won conclusively. And this happens. You know, it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens when the fighter loses the first fight, second fight, they turn up better. Most of the time it happens, yeah. And I believe, and most people believe, that Vladimir Klitschko would have turned up a hell of a lot better than he did the first fight. Which never materialised, never happened, did it? Because of you-know-who. AJ versus Andrew Ruiz. The first fight, he got clipped in his temple and he never recovered. Yep, got battered the first fight. Second fight, he turns up using different tactics and it worked. Yep. So fast forward now to the Usyk fight. I don't think there's any way back for AJ. Yeah, I don't think there's any way back because he couldn't think of a plan B. His corner couldn't think of a plan B. So what tactics is he going to use for the rematch if it happens? I can't think of any, unless he changes trainers. If he changes to a different trainer, someone like a Freddie Roach or Floyd Mayweather Sr., I'm not saying that will transform him into a completely different boxer, but it could improve his defence. But at the same time, what if Usyk improves his defence? So I don't think there's a way back for him, to be honest with you. But I've seen people on Facebook and on YouTube say, and these are people that are not really boxing fans, they are boxing fans, but they're not really boxing fans. They don't know much about boxing. They'll say that, oh, look what Usyk did to AJ. Look what Usyk did to him. What's 6 foot 20-inch Fury gonna do to him? You know, one, right? AJ performs better against smaller guys. Yeah, he normally does. He performs better. Nope, that was a mistake. Right, I'll start again. AJ performs better against bigger guys. Right, his fights have proved that. Watch his fights. It proves he performs better against bigger guys. Smaller guys, he can struggle against. He did with Povetkin, he did with Andy Ruiz, he has with Usyk. Even Carl Takam was pretty good, and Carl Takam was not really a well-level boxer, and he did better against AJ than some of the tall guys have. So that's one, right? Second, Usyk, pound for pound, is better than Tyson Fury. He don't mess around, he don't clown around in the ring, he don't put his hands behind his back, he don't do any stupidness. He's 100% on it. Yeah, his feet, his hands, his movement, he just never stops. Fury, he's good with his feet, he's good with his hands, right? He's not really a good jabber, to be honest with you. He don't really use a jab like an expert, right? But he can move. But the thing is with Fury, he has more flaws than Usyk does. For example, Tyson Fury does lose concentration in big fights. And look, you fanboys, look at his fights, you see it. He can lose concentration. He gets too cocky, too arrogant in the ring. And hopefully that happens on October 9th. Yeah, because he needs a loss on his record, because it's that unbeatenness. If you want to say them words, right? I don't even think that's a word, but because he's unbeaten, the fanboys think Fury is invincible. That if you shoot him in his chest, it will just bounce off him. That's what the fanboys think. But he's not invincible. The reason why he's unbeaten, right, in his 13-year career, whatever it is, professional career, is that, take into account, he's had about 3 years off, drinking beer, eating doner kebabs, and doing fuck all, and putting on weight. Right? He had 3 years doing that, right? And his time as an active pro, he hasn't been active. I mean, this is the second fight coming up with Deontay Wilder in 2 years or something. You know what I mean? Before Wilder's second fight, he fights 2 bang average opponents, one below average, one average. Before the Wilder 1 fight, he had 2 warm-up fights. Yeah? Before the Klitschko fight, who did he fight? Compare his resume to AJ's resume, to Usyk's resume as an undisputed cruiserweight champion. Now he's unified heavyweight champion. Who has the better resume? So all these fanboys swinging on Fury's nuts. I saw blind. This can't see what's in front of him. You know what I mean? So this is why I favour AJ and Usyk to beat Fury, because they have a better record. AJ's more powerful, Usyk's more skillful. Simple as that. At the same time, I'm not saying they will definitely 100% beat Tyson Fury. I'm not a fanboy. I'm not like you fanboys. I'm not uneducated when it comes to boxing, right? I'm saying I favour them to win. Yeah? You're saying Fury will definitely 100% win because he's 6 foot 100 and he's invincible. Yeah? I'm not saying that about Usyk and AJ. I'm saying I favour them to beat him.